So we've just finished order of operations. I want to give you a sample problem of what you'll see. So an example of some of the order of operations that you'll see would look like something like 9 plus 6 divided by 3 times 5. And we need to solve this. So in order to solve this, we have to remember that GEMDAS says, do your grouping symbols first. Well, we don't have any grouping symbols. So then it says, do your exponents. We don't have any exponents. So it says, do your multiplication and division in a left to right fashion. Well, I do have multiplication and I do have division. And in this case, division comes first. So in order to do this problem, I have to leave my 9 alone, leave my addition sign alone, and do the division. 6 divided by 3 is 2. And now I write my next step, times 5. And I need to keep going. Now I never do 2 operations at once. I have to show all my steps. So I did this piece, my first division piece, and now I'm going to do my multiplication piece because multiplication must come before addition. So I'm going to write 9 plus, and 2 times 5 is 10. And now I can add because I'm finished with all my multiplication and division in a left to right format. So now I can do my adding and subtracting in a left to right format. And 9 plus 10 is 19. And I can box my answer. And let's just do one more as an example. Let's do 20 minus 5 divided by 3 times 5. And again, we want to write GEMDAS and remind ourselves of the steps. So we're going to say that our grouping symbol in this case is our fraction bar, which means that we have to do everything on the top before we do anything on the bottom. So I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to do my top first, and there's only a subtraction piece on the top. So 20 minus 5 is 15. And now I can do my bottom. 3 times 5 is 15. And 15 divided by 15 is 1. And I can box my answer. Okay? Now I want to remind you of the multiplication and division rules for integers. So just write multiplication and division with integers. Okay? So I'm going to show you a little pattern that I want you to copy down. So make sure that you have your chart down. If I say 2 times negative 4, I'm really saying 2 groups of negative 4. So 2 groups of negative 4 would look like this if I was adding them, because remember multiplication is repeated addition. And negative 4 plus a negative 4 is a negative 8. And now let's keep the pattern going. Instead of 2 groups, I'm going to say that I have 3 groups of negative 4. So 3 groups of negative 4 looks like negative 4 plus negative 4 plus negative 4, which equals negative 12. Okay? And 4 times negative 4 is 4 groups of negative 4. And negative 4 plus negative 4 plus negative 4 plus negative 4 is negative 16. Okay, and as you can see, there's a pattern going down like this. Negative 8, to get to negative 12, you had to add another 4 negatives. So every time you jumped from here to here, you were adding negative 4. And from here to here, you added negative 4. Well, what I want to do is I want to go the opposite way. I want to turn my chart around so that I can say I have 4 times negative 4 gave me my negative 16, which we solved. 3 times negative 4 is equal to negative 12. 2 times negative 4 we saw made negative 8. So I want to keep the pattern going. If this direction is adding a negative 4, in this direction we're really subtracting a negative 4. From negative 16 to negative 12, we've taken away negative 4. So in this direction, we've subtracted a negative 4, or we've added 4. So negative 16 plus 4 gives you negative 12. Keep going with the pattern. 1 times negative 4, if you add a positive 4 to this, you're going to get negative 4. Now let's do it with a 0. 0 groups of negative 4 gives you a 0. We all know the rule. Anything times 0 gives you 0. But you can also follow the pattern. Negative 4 plus 4 gives you 0. So this is where it comes in tricky. We have a negative times a negative what is it going to give us? Well, follow our pattern. Take the 0 and add a positive 4 to it, and you get a 4. Okay, and so a negative times a negative ended up giving us a positive number. Negative 2 times negative 4. So we're going to follow the same pattern. Take the 4, add 4 to it, and you get 8. And so negative 2 times negative 4 is 8. So we have some rules. When we're multiplying, a positive number times a positive number is going to give us a positive number, positive answer. A positive number times a negative number, like in this case, positive times a negative gave us a negative answer. And a negative number times a negative number is going to give us a positive number. And the same thing works for division. You could say that a positive number divided by a positive number gives you a positive number. A positive number divided by a negative number gives you a negative answer. And a negative number divided by a negative number gives you a positive answer. So these are our rules for the multiplying and dividing of integers.